The science behind manifestation and the law of attraction, law of assumption. There are a lot of people out there that feel like manifesting is totally woo-woo, out there, hippie stuff that doesn't really have any basis in actual facts or actual reality. And in this video, I'm going to explain to you how this is not true at all, and actually how the art of manifesting things into your life and the teachings of many of these spiritual teachers, such as Neville Goddard, Joseph Murphy, the New Thought teachers of the 20th century, and also teachers who even go back thousands of years from ancient Greece, Egypt, and all over the world, are actually being proven today by people at the forefront of science and people who are not afraid to talk about these different concepts. We even have CIA documents which have been fairly recently declassified and admitting that manifestation is real. We're going to discuss how these principles are being proven in quantum physics. And although there seem to be two completely different spaces where people are coming at this from a more spiritual approach, such as Neville and some of the New Thought teachers that I mentioned before, and those who are approaching these topics from a background that is more grounded in science, and how they overlap and how they're actually saying the same thing. So the first part of this video is going to be showing you how manifestation works based on physics, psychology, and science, and how it really is the same thing that Neville, the Kabbalion, and modern day teachers like the Wizard Liz and Sammy Ingram and a lot of these people on YouTube and TikTok have been teaching. In the second part of this video, I'm going to reveal exactly how we can use these in our life and how to engage your logical mind with them so that you know you're actually creating a difference in your life, in the lives of those that you care about, by using these principles. And for all your skeptical friends out there who think it's too far out there, because I know how frustrating it can be to be trying to explain this to people that you care about and have your words fall on deaf ears because they're coming from a more traditional worldview, where if they haven't heard about it on the news or the radio, then they think that it's all a bunch of nonsense. So after this video, it should clear up any confusion on this subject for you and now be able to explain to your friends how it's based in science, or you can even just send them this video if you want. I've been learning and uncovering everything I can about these topics for over a decade, so this video is going to be completely comprehensive, and after this, you shouldn't have to watch another video about this again. So let's start off with the physics part first. Now we know, and Nikola Tesla said this a long time ago, as have many scientists repeated this idea, that everything is made up of energy. One of the most famous quotes from Nikola Tesla is, "If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." This book right here is made up of constantly vibrating particles. Nothing in existence is constant. It is all perpetually in a state of flux or in a state of motion. It is all vibrating. We can see this clearly being proven in the famous double slit experiment, in which scientists discovered that when they shot beams of light through two slits, they behaved differently while being observed than they did while they weren't being observed. This baffled scientists at the time because it meant that on a quantum level, awareness is affecting the way that reality behaves. The observer is affecting reality and having an interplay in the way that reality is behaving. If you want to know more about the science of this study, I'll leave a link to a video here which does a good job of explaining it. But going back to Tesla, if you're not familiar with him, he was arguably one of the most brilliant minds of all time. He invented the AC current, which forms the foundation of our modern electrical grid that we use today, and many other inventions which we use in our day-to-day life, including wireless technology, but I'll touch on him more in a future video. For the purpose of our discussion here today, it's important to note the similarities in his ideas on vibration and energy to ancient philosophies such as Hermeticism, which dates back thousands of years and is referenced in ancient texts such as the Emerald Tablets and the Kabbalion, which states that nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. These texts are thought to date back to ancient Egypt, but we don't know how far back they actually go. This philosophy includes 7 principles, which are essentially universal laws governing how the universe works. One of them being the law of vibration. Quantum physics, whose foundations were laid by pioneering physicists such as Max Planck, Albert Einstein, Niels Bohr, Heisenberg, and many others, postulates that every particle in the universe is made up of energy, and microscopic studies have shown that matter is composed of molecules and atoms that are in a constant state of vibration. So to get a better grasp on this, let's take the example of sound. Now we know that sound is created by vibrations, and being at different frequencies affects the pitch in the sound that we hear. We know that low vibrations create a bass tone, whereas higher vibrations create a more higher pitched, higher frequency. And although we can't see these sound waves traveling, we can perceive them with our sense of hearing. But the human ear is very limited in what it can hear, and there are sounds below our range of hearing, and there are also sounds above our range of hearing. We know that dog fences work this way, emitting a sound that is out of our range of perception, but painful for a dog to keep them inside of the fence. But let's take this a step further and think about the example of a radio station. When we tune into 97.3 or whatever your favorite station is on the radio, you can't perceive the frequency being emitted at all with any of your senses. But when you tune to the right frequency, you hear the corresponding station that plays your music that you like. And we know and we trust that when we tune into the station, we get the corresponding channel. The reason that I'm bringing this up is because the universe operates the same way, and that is to say that when we tune into a certain thought vibration, we begin emitting that frequency, and the universe, being made of energy at a fundamental level, reflects that back to us. The thing is, it is not instantaneous like a radio station, and that's a good thing, because imagine the moment you thought of an elephant that one would appear in your living room. That would be too much. So going forward, armed with this knowledge that your thoughts are real forces, your thoughts are made of the same substance, they are energy, just like the vibrating particles that are creating this book. And they say that matter is actually 99% empty space, which allows for these particles to keep vibrating. We can go forward into our lives knowing that on this plane, just like on the radio frequency, we are sending and emitting vibrations with our thought, emotion, and intention. Because of this, when you attune your thoughts to a certain frequency, you are now on that channel. The issue is that most people go to that channel, but they don't stay on the channel. They then go to the channel that they don't want because they're constantly thinking of all the things that they want to avoid. And to quote Einstein, everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get the reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy, this is physics. There are many modern day quantum physicists who are echoing this sentiment. I love the work of Vadim Zeland, who proposes that reality is not separate from you. It is an extension of your consciousness and intention. Manifestation is the art of consciously selecting and stepping into the desired reality from the quantum field of possibilities, which is another concept in quantum physics, that there are many available realities, all possible at once. And that is also a part of that experiment that we mentioned earlier. While these particles are being sent through these slits, they are acting as waves, but as soon as they were observed, they collapsed into particles. So he says, the universe responds to your focused attention and belief, rearranging itself to match your intentions. These ideas also go hand in hand with all of the different teachings that we've mentioned so far, and Vadim's model is intended to help us understand how to practically influence reality. This image illustrates this point well, and also echoes the sentiments of another modern day physicist, Nassim Haramein, who proposes that we are like walking white holes and black holes at the same time, meaning that we have an inward directed gravitational force that pulls energy and information into our consciousness, much like a black hole, and simultaneously we emit and radiate energy and information outward, akin to a white hole. Now, the CIA document Analysis and Assessment of the Gateway Process reveals a process by which the CIA was using sound technology to manipulate brain waves with the goal of creating altered states of consciousness so a person can interact with non-physical aspects of reality. With the practical uses of this technique, according to the CIA, including manifesting goals, converting energy to heal one's body, and even traveling across space and time to access information, such as things like remote viewing, for example. This report was quietly declassified by the CIA in 2003 and went largely unnoticed, but without getting into the details of these techniques, it points to a fundamental idea that everything is indeed connected, and that by accessing certain brainwave states, we are able to tap into the energy that permeates everything, accessing insights, intuition, and latent abilities not known to us in normal states of consciousness. Now, this idea really coincides with what we hear in a lot of these law of attraction communities, and the law of assumption and esoteric teachings on the topic of mentalism and manifestation. This interconnected flow of energy between us and reality It's also echoing what we see in the experiment that we mentioned earlier about the observer effect, that we are actually influencing reality as we observe it. It also coincides with research being done at the HeartMath Institute, where they found that the electromagnetic field of the heart is actually much stronger than that of the brain. And the research suggests that positive intentions and emotions such as love, gratitude, and compassion produce what are called coherent heart rhythms, which are associated with numerous benefits, including increased mental clarity, improved emotional well-being, enhanced cognitive function, and strengthened immune system response. Again, this coincides with Joe Dispenza's work, the research being done by scientists at the University of San Diego related to this, and experiences of many who have attended his workshops. It also suggests that our emotions and intentions can extend beyond ourselves, having a measurable effect on the surrounding environment and potentially impacting the well-being and interactions of others. So once we've accepted that all of this is going on a plane of existence that we cannot perceive with our senses, much like the channel changing on the radio example, when you realize that the universe operates with the law of cause and effect, which is akin to Newton's third law of motion, that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And when you realize that your thoughts are real forces, these things that we think every single day are real forces, they're an energy, a substance made of the same substance that is making up this book, that is making up everything in our physical world. We realize that everything is connected, everything is vibrating, made up of energy, and we are forever affecting the outside environment with our thoughts, and our outside environment is forever affecting us. That's why it's important to mind who and what you're allowing in your social circle, what you read, what you take in online, because it's all energy. And if you allow negative influences in, that's when you start spiraling. And the reverse can be true. You take in positive information and you start feeling better. You also have to remember that you have the power and the ability to entertain thoughts or dismiss them. And realize that any negative thought that is persisting in your mind is there because you are allowing it to be there. At the same time, you don't want to beat yourself up. If you take inventory with your thoughts and where you've been residing on this spectrum, lower vibrational thoughts, if we've been in a pattern, in a habit of having them, realize that it's not necessarily all your fault. We happen to be in an environment that is largely negative, and the influences around us, whether it is people in our lives or the TV or things we hear online, a lot of people have negative beliefs. A lot of people have been in a state of reaction where they are reacting to an outside environment which is predominantly negative. Now that you are aware, though, you can change where your attention goes, what thoughts you are entertaining. You have the power to insert thoughts into your mind, thoughts of success, thoughts of personal power, thoughts of prosperity. And you are not limited with what it is that you want to put your attention and focus on. You can put your attention and focus on anything. You can insert any thought of your choosing into your mind. When you realize that your inner and outer worlds are connected, you can detach from the outer world instead of being in a state where you are constantly hypnotized by what is going on around you in your outer environment. You can bring your attention back in, redirect, take your power back, and manifest, create, and direct the outer world to your choosing, to your liking. Which brings us to the second part of the video, which is how to use this in your life. First and foremost, start to notice where your thoughts are predominantly going. A lot of people want to manifest and they think they're doing it by saying some affirmations or saying that they want certain things, but they spend the majority of their time operating a frequency of anxiety, fear, and worry. Again, this is a process, so be gentle with yourself. We're doing this one step at a time, and gently just start to begin to notice where those thoughts are, where your focus predominantly lies. Don't beat yourself up if you notice that a lot of your thoughts tend to be negative, because simply being aware that they are is the first step. Bringing awareness is a powerful process that now allows you a tremendous amount of power. These were happening unconsciously before because it's simply a pattern and a habit that you've formed, and they're happening automatically. Now you take a step back, observe your thoughts, and consciously shift your attention. Shift your awareness on what you want to create. This may be the most important part, but you need to have a clear image of what that is for you. If it helps, you can collect images, you can make a vision board on Pinterest or physically. One place that you can definitely start is by writing out what your goals are. Who is it that you want to become? Do that, and through the act of writing, through journaling, through scripting, this new reality that you are choosing for yourself, you gain a lot of clarity. You can go back, you can add to it, you can reread it, and add the nuances of what you want, because you may not know exactly what you want right away, and that's okay. But just by simply beginning to write and beginning to form an intention on what it is that you want to create, you are now entering and already shifting your frequency to a new channel. By the act of writing, more and more of your preferences will reveal themselves to you, and you'll get a better idea as you go. And as you begin this process, you'll start seeing things in your day-to-day that inspire you. You'll start operating on that new frequency, and you can add them to your list. When you feel the emotions of this desired reality that you're creating, that's when you know that it's working and you are indeed changing your frequency and aligning yourself to that new channel. You want to feel like this is really true and possible for you. If you think about your desires and notice that it makes you feel stressed, anxious, or upset, then you know that you've got work to do, because now you realize that you're not close to that reality. If you think, for example, that you'd like to be a millionaire or be very successful in your career, and thinking about that makes you excited, and you're like, oh yeah, of course that's gonna happen, I know that will be mine, that means you are very close to tuning into that reality, if not already operating on that frequency or right by it. So our feelings are feedback as to what frequency we are on. The channel that we're currently on is reflected in the life that we are living, because our reality is a reflection of the inner frequency and the inner station that we are tuned to most often. So getting to better channels, better realities, and better outcomes in our life involves working on our mental diet. As I've said, observing your thoughts, getting your thoughts in alignment with that new reality that you're creating for yourself, feeling as if that is true, just like Neville Goddard talks about, and using 3 powerful tools that you have at your disposal, which are affirming, visualizing, and as I've mentioned before, scripting. Really stepping into that version of yourself and being in alignment with that new version of yourself and in those circumstances. That version of yourself that is successful, that is confident, that is the best you, that is you at your best. Check in with yourself to see, thinking about how your desire makes you feel anxious, then do some more affirming, more visualizing, more scripting, until it begins to feel more normal, more comfortable. The last key ingredient in this whole process is the aspect of detachment. Detachment from your thoughts, emotions, your current life circumstances, and most importantly, from your desire. One of the biggest challenges that people face with manifesting is that they are too attached to their desire. They put it on a pedestal and it becomes this crazy thing that's so hard to get to. And what you're essentially doing when you do this is telling the universe that this desire is so far away from me energetically, because by making it so important, you are energetically distancing yourself from it. Understand that whatever your current circumstances are, that does not determine what channel that you're able to get to. There are people that have come from terrible, terrible life circumstances that have risen to heights of unbelievable success. What you need is detachment to let go of your current circumstances and the belief in yourself. The new thought forms, which then harden themselves into beliefs that you can and will achieve this desired result. And this feeling as if that desire is already yours. This feeling of it being natural to you. Now, detachment doesn't mean that you don't want your desire anymore, because of course you still want it, but you lower the importance on it and you take it off the pedestal. When you see somebody else who has your desire, it shouldn't make you feel jealous. It shouldn't make you be like, oh my gosh, how am I gonna get this? It's so hard. But rather, it should make you feel like, oh yes, that will be in my reality here in the next however amount of time. And really what's going on is the universe is actually giving you proof that it is possible. And every time that you see somebody that has what you want in your life, that's what you can take it in as is inspiration and proof that, look, if they can do it, you can do it as well. It is possible in this world that we live in, and it's possible for you too. Jealousy is a key indicator that you are not in alignment yet and that you're too attached to your outcome. So when you detach from your current circumstances and realize that nothing you're experiencing can hold you back from manifesting what you want, what you need to do is focus on attuning yourself to that reality, feeling the comfortability of it, feeling the naturalness of it, imagining it, affirming it, and scripting it like you already are that version of yourself that is well on your way to receiving it. Talking about the quantum field of possibility again, if you can hold it in your mind, you've made it real, and there is a reality that exists where you have that desire. So by living in this state as though it is true for long enough, you are able to tune into that channel, and it becomes your new story. It becomes your new reality. You have the power with your mind to create any desired reality that you want. Now, let me know in the comments what you thought about this. I hope it's made sense, and also drop me a like, subscribe to the channel, and I would love to see you in the next video. Thank you guys for watching, and take care.